Well, the self-proclaimed Islamic State shocked the world when it posted a video of its beheading of American James Foley. Well, a new report says Foley endured horrifying torture and starvation before his beheading. The report relies in part on information from others who were held hostage with Foley, but who are now free. Unlike the United States and the UK, many European countries often pay ransom to terrorists to release their nationals. With us live out of Washington is someone very familiar with hostage situations. Dane Egli is the senior hostage advisor to U.S. President George W. Bush, and he's also the author of the book Beyond the Storms, Strengthening Homeland Security and Disaster Management to Achieve Resilience. And Dane, we welcome you to Arise America. Thanks so much for being on here.
Hi, Debbie.
Just help us understand clearly, because I think some people wonder what's the difference between, say, James Foley, who of course was beheaded, not released, and Bo Bergdahl, where there was a trade in getting his release. What is the U.S. policy on negotiating or compromising or conceding to terrorists?
The policy is clear. It's anchored in tradition and as well as national security presidential directives that we do not offer concessions. Doesn't mean we won't negotiate, doesn't mean we won't interact and engage to our as the need arises, but no concessions, no ransoms.
And the key here, particularly in these two particular examples, is the individual themselves. There is a big difference between a journalist, for instance, or a U.S. aid worker who is taken hostage, a civilian, if you will, as opposed to a prisoner of war. How are they seen differently?
Well, I mean, yes, there are differences legally, and you can categorize them that way, but I think if we look at the strategic perspective from the view of ISIS or whoever is the terrorist organization, their goal is to influence hearts and minds, to affect our, demoralize our country, and it's just not a good thing to go too far down that path, because anytime you equip them with more money, you contribute to the problem.
We've had this policy of no negotiating with terrorists for quite some time, so I'm wondering why then these terrorist organizations, particularly ISIS in this case, would continue to kidnap American citizens, knowing that there's not going to be any concession made.
They want to establish their legitimacy. They want to destabilize the coalition and the partners that we've put together. They know that money, cold hard cash, is the common denominator. They've got to get cash, and this is one of the ways to quickly get hard cash in large amounts of large quantities, and they also want to recruit. This juices up their base. This gets training of jihadists. There's a whole constellation of things that works to their advantage if they can get a coalition member, especially an American.
Indeed, indeed. As I understand it, really the only other recourse, because the U.S. does not make concessions to terrorists, is then for the only hope for that individual who's held captive is rescue. So I guess my question to you is, how often do rescue missions succeed?
Well, it's a low probability mission. The other thing I would point out is we've had hostages released where they do some smart things while they're held in captivity. Jill Carroll, Christian Science Monitor, others. But no, it's a low return investment. But the point is to have a solidarity on what we know will work, and that is do not give them money to continue their enterprise and increase the pain. If they elect to take a coalition member or an American, they need to know that, one, they're not going to get a ransom, they're not going to get concessions, and furthermore, they're going to attract unwanted attention from a military kinetic standpoint, that we are not passive about this. So yes, a rescue operation is a high risk, low return probability, but they need to know that we use all our instruments of national security.
Very quickly, I've got to go now, Dane, but what hope do you hold out for Peter Kasich, who's now being featured in these ISIS videos?
You know, like with all of our hostages, we pray earnestly for them. We also know that the behavior of ISIS is pretty predictable.
Yeah, unfortunately so. Dane Egli, thank you so much, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're watching Arise America.